With all the complicated steps of relationships, how often do we find ourselves tripping over our own feet instead of gliding across the dance floor? The ancient wisdom of Stoicism, pushed by philosophers like Marcus Aurelius and Seneca, can help you handle the complexities of interpersonal relationships with grace and virtue. Remember that you have control over your mind, not outside events. Understand this, and you will be strong. Marcus Aurelius famously said, "The Stoic endeavor is to control our responses to external circumstances, including our interactions with others. But what should a man not do in his relationships with women to keep them peaceful and respectful? In a world where relationships can sometimes seem like treacherous bonds, what should a man not do?" Waters. How can the ideas of Stoicism help us sail easily and avoid common mistakes that could cause conflict and dissatisfaction? Being aware of your limits, the respect you show, and the time you spend in your relationships is important. Do you often put other people's needs ahead of your own, or do you lose your sense of self in order to avoid conflict? These questions aren't just empty words, they're essential to understanding the mistakes that could happen in the way we connect with each other. This article will talk about 9 important things men should not do in order to have healthy, happy relationships with women. Using the timeless teachings of Stoicism, we want to show you a way to not only have better relationships, but also a more peaceful, happy, and successful life. By thinking about and changing these behaviors, we can invite not only harmony with others, but also deep inner peace. But before we start, I have a challenge for you. Watch this video all the way to the end so you don't miss any important Stoic philosophy insights. Come with us as we learn important lessons for living a peaceful, happy life. Number 1. Don't reveal everything about your past, especially the tough times. On our path through partnerships, the things that happened in the past, especially the hard ones, have a big effect on the relationships we have with each other. Forge a new one. Stoic philosophers once said that we suffer more from our imaginations than from reality. This thought makes me think about what might happen if we share all of our scars and our darkest times. If we judge everyone, we risk not only reopening old wounds, but also putting this weight on our partners. As an example, think of the famous actor Keanu Reeves, who is linked to both personal tragedy and great strength. Reeves doesn't try to hide his past. Instead, he selectively shares it in order to inspire strength rather than sympathy. His story is a testament to the Stoic virtue of measured disclosure, showing how our past can shape our present without defining it. So why should we be careful when sharing our historical burdens? Think about how it affects your relationships. Sharing every detail of your problems may help you feel better, but it puts a lot of stress on your partner because they have to figure out both your future together and the thicket of your past. Stoicism teaches us how to find balance in what we say. How do we choose what to share and what to keep from each other so that our relationships stay honest while also encouraging independence and mutual respect? It's about wanting to connect instead of getting approval, sharing to better understand instead of getting rid of mental baggage. Think about how your words affect others. Are they building a wall of sorrow or a foundation for mutual support? As we follow this wise advice, we discover that keeping some things private isn't about keeping things secret, but about keeping a positive flow going in our relationships. Let's share carefully with the goal of healing and unity. This way we not only protect our own health, but we also make the lives of those we love better by building relationships that are strong, respectful, and in tune with the joys of the present. Number 2, don't reshape your life to fit others. How often do we change our own plans to fit what someone else wants? Stoic philosophers pushed for authenticity and taught us to stay true to ourselves instead of changing to fit into someone else's life. Marcus Aurelius, a very wise Stoic thinker, once said, "It never ceases to amaze me that we all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own." This powerful thought makes us think about why we give up our values and goals for approval. For example, Steve Jobs, who wasn't a Stoic but was the epitome of resilience, was an inventor whose unwavering vision changed many industries. Jobs' determination to stay true to himself in the face of many criticisms and failures is a great example of the Stoic virtue of self-reliance. His journey shows us how important it is to not change our lives just to please others or to fit into a mold that doesn't match our core values. Why do we often feel like we have to change our plans, dreams, or even who we are to fit someone else's vision? This tendency can be especially strong in relationships, where the need to please can make us forget about our own wants and goals. Stoic philosophy tells us that true happiness comes from living in line with our own nature, not from other people's temporary approval. So how can we put this Stoic knowledge into practice in our own lives? Start by asking yourself if the choices you make are based on your true desires or on what other people expect of you. Are you staying true to your goals and being honest in all of your relationships? Let's challenge ourselves to live authentically, accepting who we are without giving in to other people's expectations. We not only make ourselves happier and more peaceful, but we also attract relationships that value and celebrate who we really are. We'd love to hear your thoughts on this topic. How have you avoided changing your life to fit in with other people? Please share your thoughts in the area for comments. Number 3, don't let anything harm your mental health or happiness. In the Stoic philosophy, the peace of the mind is the most important thing. Epictetus said it best. It's not what happens to you that matters, but how you react to it. But how often do we let outside events or people affect our peace and happiness? This important question makes us think about how we deal with life's problems and how our interactions, especially with women, affect us. As an example, Winston Churchill was a famous leader who wasn't silent but was known for being strong during times of great stress. The way Churchill was able to stay calm and focused under pressure shows how the Stoic ideal of taking charge of your responses to outside events instead of letting them take over your life is shown. His ability to lead during tough times shows how important it is to keep your mental health strong. So why should we let our personal interactions put our mental health at risk? In relationships, it's easy to lose yourself in the drama of disagreement or trying to please others. Stoicism teaches us that we need to stay away from these kinds of problems in order to keep our inner peace. Music. How do you handle emotions that are making you crazy? Does your happiness depend on how other people feel or act? Thinking about these questions can help us have better relationships and a more balanced life. Epictetus's advice tells us to become stronger by focusing on how we react to things inside ourselves instead of letting outside forces affect us. He says this by putting our mental health and happiness first. We not only make our own lives better, but we also make our relationships better. Let this be a call to action. Protect your peace with the same vigilance you would use to protect your most valuable belongings. How are you going to make sure that your contacts don't make you feel disturbed? Number 4, don't agree simply to satisfy them. How often have we agreed or nodded together just to keep the peace, even though our real thoughts were very different? Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius said, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." This command tells us to think about what will happen in the long run if we compromise our integrity to make other people happy. Nelson Mandela, who was not silent but a deep example of sticking to his beliefs. In the beginning of his fight against apartheid, Mandela often fought by himself, even though he was under a lot of pressure to follow the rules set by society and politics at the time. His unwavering dedication to justice and equality, no matter what the personal costs, shows the Stoic ideal of staying true to one's values over mere compliance. Why should we resist the urge to agree with others just to make them happy, especially when we're with women? Doing so may avoid conflict in the short term, but it hurts real understanding and respect in the long run. Stoicism tells us that real relationships, based on honesty and mutual respect, are more important than agreements that seem good on the surface. Do your interactions show what you really think and feel, or are you giving up your views for the sake of harmony? Are you showing a persona that fits other people's expectations instead of who you really are? Taking these things into account can help us build relationships that are not only deeper, but also stronger. Please share your deepest thoughts with us in the comments section. They could help someone. Marcus Aurelius's wisdom tells us to interact with others in a way that shows who we really are, making sure that our agreements are in line with our beliefs and values. By following this principle, we can improve our own peace and happiness and build relationships based on genuine understanding and respect. Let this serve as a reminder that if we want to live a peaceful, happy, and successful life, we must be honest in our agreements, making sure they are in line with our real beliefs and help us build lasting relationships. Number 5. Don't ruin your life by being too obsessed with someone. Harmony is not something you find. It's something you make. The Stoic philosopher Seneca's reflection shows how important it is to keep things in balance in all parts of life, but especially in relationships. This wise advice is a cornerstone when we think about the risks of becoming too obsessed with someone, which can cause you to lose your balance and, in the end, your happiness. The story of the Stoic philosopher Musonius Rufus is a powerful example of how to keep your balance. Rufus was known for his useful lessons. Musonius pushed for moderation in all areas of life, including personal relationships. He said that love is a natural and important part of life, but it shouldn't take over our lives to the point where we forget about our other responsibilities and interests. His life of philosophy and teaching showed that one could love deeply without losing oneself in love. So why is it so important to keep our passions from taking over our lives? Stoicism shows us how important it is to be detached and logical when dealing with our feelings. If we let our feelings for someone else take over our lives, our identity and sense of purpose could become dangerously off. Do you still have time for your hobbies, friends, and personal goals, or have they started to fade because of your relationship? How can you make sure that your admiration doesn't turn into an obsession that could cloud your judgment and make you feel bad about what you did? By seeking balance and following Stoic principles, we can build deep, important relationships without giving up our identity or our happiness. This balanced approach not only protects our health, but also improves the quality of our relationships, letting them grow in a healthy and long-lasting way. Embracing balance and moderation in all areas of life, but especially in love, is key to living a peaceful, happy, and successful life. This ancient wisdom continues to help us as we navigate the complicated world of modern relationships. Number 6. Don't push friends or family away for someone else. If you ask me, there is no better sign of a well-ordered mind than a man being able to stop where he is and spend some time alone, said Seneca, focusing on the Stoic virtue of self-sufficiency and how important it is to keep up personal roots like friendships and family ties. This wise advice tells us not to give up these strong bonds for short-lived ones. Kay the Younger was a historical person who was known for being stoic and deeply committed to his family and the Roman Republic. His life showed how to put long-term relationships ahead of short-term alliances, even when there was a lot of political pressure. Kay's commitment shows how strongly he believes that family and friendship are important parts of a good and balanced life. So why is it so important to keep these bonds strong, even when new relationships come into your life? In our lives, is it ever okay to let a new relationship take priority over our current ones, or does that threaten the safety and harmony of our strong bonds? These things are important because they help us keep a fair view. Stoicism teaches us to value each connection and make sure that our actions don't upset the balance of our existing social circles. By taking care of all our relationships, we not only live in a more peaceful and fair way, but we also make ourselves happier. Keeping these ties alive gives us a support system that gets us through the ups and downs of life. Let us remember how important it is to find a balance between new loves and old loyalties. By doing this, we honor the wisdom of our Stoic ancestors and promote a life full of community continuity and peace. This way of living leads to a life that is not only successful, but also deeply satisfying. Number 7. Don't be controlled by the fear of solitude. A lot of people are afraid. The quiet of being alone linking solitude with loneliness. But Stoicism teaches us that solitude is a unique chance to think about ourselves and grow. This point of view tells us to enjoy times of solitude in order to improve our relationships and overall health. To see this in action, think about Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, whose reign was marked not only by political successes, but also by his deep philosophical insights. Even though he had access to constant companionship and the demands of his position, he often sought solitude to think and write his thoughts, which were later collected into meditations. His writings stress how important it is to be self-sufficient and happy with oneself, showing that solitude can be a strong tool for building personal strength and clarity. So why do we often feel the need to be with other people all the time? Is it because we don't like facing our own thoughts, or because being alone is seen as a bad thing by society? Solitude can be seen as a good thing because it helps us grow as people and learn more about ourselves. Stoicism tells us to see solitude not as a place where we won't be lonely, but as a place where we can grow and think about ourselves. When do we give ourselves time to be alone with our thoughts, free from any other things? This helps us figure out what we really want and what we're afraid of. If you're afraid of being alone, think about what you could find in the silence. How could your life be better if you faced and embraced the silence instead of filling it with the wrong company? By facing our fear of being alone, we give ourselves the power to choose relationships that truly enrich our lives, creating a peaceful, happy, and successful existence. What do you think about being alone and finding peace? Talk about what you've been through and how it has changed your connections. Number 8. Don't forget to celebrate even small wins. If you want to live a happy life, it's important not to forget the little wins. Epictetus, a wise Stoic, once said, "Do not spoil what you have by desiring what you have not. Remember that what you now have was once among the things you only hoped for." This wise advice perfectly captures how important it is to appreciate and celebrate every success, no matter how big or small. Take the famous actor Tom Hanks as an example. His career is full of both huge and small personal victories. When Hanks talks about the joy of the creative process, he often says that he enjoys finishing a difficult scene or working with other artists just as much as getting a prize. This way of doing things is in line with the Stoic idea of finding joy in the trip and appreciating each step along the way. Why is it important to recognize and celebrate these smaller successes? Not only does it make us feel better and more motivated, but it also helps us stay grateful and see things from a different point of view in our relationships, especially when we realize that little things like small wins can make bonds stronger. Encourage a good mood, whether you're enjoying the end of a small argument or recognizing an act of kindness. These times build a foundation of respect and love. Remember to celebrate your small wins. Make it a habit to notice the small wins in your daily life that you might not notice otherwise. This Stoic practice will remind us to value every moment of success, no matter how small it may seem. By celebrating these wins, we build a habit of gratitude that makes our lives better and makes us happier and more satisfied overall. The benefits of this exercise are personal, and it also makes us nicer and more grateful. Partners, let's make it a habit to notice and enjoy the little things in life. These are the times that make life truly satisfying and joyful. How will you celebrate your next small win? Please reply to this advice. Use the comments area below to push yourself to do it. Number 9. Don't invest too much time in them. In the Stoic philosophy, making good use of one's time is very important. For example, Seneca warned that it's not that we don't have enough time to live, but that we waste a lot of it. This is especially true when we think about how much time we spend on relationships. Stoicism teaches us to keep our promises in check, making sure that the time we spend with other people doesn't get in the way of our personal growth duties and pursuits. Epictetus was a famous Stoic philosopher who lived a simple but intellectual life. He had close relationships with many of his students and peers, but he always saw his time as balanced and dedicated himself to teaching others how to reflect on their lives and be disciplined. Epictetus's life shows how the Stoics thought about relationships. They're important, but they shouldn't take up all of our time and energy. So why is it important to keep track of how much time we spend with other people? When we invest too much, we might forget about our own wants and goals, which could make us angry or make us feel like we've lost our identity. How can you ensure that your time investment in relationships is balanced and beneficial, not only to others, but also to yourself? This reflection prompts us to evaluate our commitments and wisely choose how much time we devote to various aspects of our lives. By practicing the Stoic approach of balanced investment, we safeguard our personal development and well-being while still cherishing and nurturing our relationships. Let us strive to apply this Stoic discipline in our lives. Invest your time wisely, ensuring that while you nurture your relationships, you also honor and develop your own life's passions and responsibilities. This balance is crucial for leading a peaceful, happy, and successful life. Remember, every minute counts. Make sure they contribute positively to your life's tapestry. In our journey through the complexities of relationships, Stoic wisdom, such as Epictetus's guidance that we are not disturbed by what happens to us, but by our thoughts about what happens, provides a profound framework for self-reflection and growth by avoiding overstepping boundaries. For the sake of others, we ignored our own goals and neglected our health. Build respectful and helpful relationships with other people. Let's use these ideas to make our exchanges more peaceful, joyful, and kind. Following these Stoic advice will help you live a life that is both satisfying for you and helpful for those around you. If you found this video useful, please like it and share it with your friends. Also, please leave a comment or tell us which strategy inspired you the most. It's becoming more important to me that your calm is committed to our shared journey. Don't forget that big changes begin with small steps, and Stoic Habits is here to help and inspire you. Don't forget to send this video to people who are also looking for strength and peace of mind. Finally, if you're not already a member of our community, click subscribe and turn on the bell icon to make sure you don't miss any future useful videos we share.